International Women's Day is Tuesday, March 8th. The Source is pleased to welcome Roselyn Kelada-Sedra. She's the director of a film. It's called Women of Resilience, screening at the FirstOntario Performing Arts Centre's Film House this Saturday, March 12th. Roselyn, your film focuses on 4 women and their healing journeys out of trauma. One of those women I recognize quite well because she was my mother's doctor, your mother, Dr. Kelada-Sedra. Her story must have been an inspiration for you to track down a lot of these others.
She has been an inspiration to me my entire life. And I just thought, with knowing what she went through, emigrating and having to requalify as a doctor 4 times in 4 different countries' medical systems, and redoing her surgical residency, and dealing with the prejudice, and dealing with the displacement, and dealing with a childhood in the middle of a war. She has been an inspiration to me my entire life. And I just thought, I know all these women who have been through so much and come through with such openly loving hearts and such strength. How do you get like that? So then I looked at my godmother, and, I've never seen someone ever who has been able to forgive more and become joyous through more pain. And so I just started digging, like, how do you get like that? I want to be like that.
How did the stories that you heard about your mother, about your godmother, inform how you carried yourself through your earlier years to become the actor, the director, and the writer that you are today?
When I was a kid, I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. My father's still in the picture, but the women were the ones who were putting me to bed every day and taking me to school every morning. And I didn't really realize how much that takes until I remember this one time. My grandmother had passed away, and I missed her so much that I would cry every night, missing her for 3 years. And I suddenly realized how tired my mom must be, because I would go down the hall to her every night, and she would hold me. And I suddenly realized how tired she must be, with me waking her up every night, and then her caring for people like your mother all day, every day. And so I stopped doing it, and I started looking for, how do I look after myself? And I was 8 at the time, but I was that young when I realized, there's a lot of pain, and people can only carry so much, and you got to learn how to soothe yourself.
Why was it important for you to tell this story of these 4 women in this film?
I've been investigating attachment theory and different ways that people heal for the better part of my adult life. I just want to know, how do people get that strong and that resilient and stay joyous and stay loving when they've been through so much? And I've been working on a play for 10 years now that is inspired by how my grandmother did that. And so I have been digging into attachment theory, because that is the way that neuroscientific research and my own personal experience shows me is the most promising and efficient way that people can heal from their traumas. And it's by loving again. It's by opening their hearts to pain again. And that is extraordinary to me. But that is what the neuroscientific research shows. And so when I was asked, what would I talk about if I were given a chance to tell the stories of older women in the Niagara region, right away, it was how they become resilient.
Can you elaborate on the other 2 stories, other than your mother and your godmother, the other 2 women that are featured in the film?
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk much about my godmother yet, so I am going to tell you about her real quick. She also passed away in the past couple years, but she wrote her life story in a book, and I hadn't read it until I was an adult. And it's for the best, because it's got some heavy, heavy stuff in it. But once I read her book, I thought, how can you be like this jokey, laughy, hilarious, fabulous woman when you've been through so much? So that provided the through line for the film. And then I started looking for other women whom I knew must exist and in this region who have come through a lot. And I just reached out to my network, and there they were. Of course they were there. One of them is lovingly named Mama Fete. And she is the creator and director of Sauce Franc, which is an organization providing community and resources for Francophone immigrants in the Niagara region. And she emigrated from the Congo, the Republic of the Congo, during the genocide. And it's extraordinary to me that that is what caused her to leave her home. And yet the first thing she did was serve other people. That's incredible. And the other is named Julianne Masleby, and she's going to be speaking on the Q&A panel with me after the screening March 12th. She is a practitioner of attachment theory in what's called AEDP therapy, Accelerated Experiential Dynamic Psychotherapy. She has a clinic called Safe Harbor Wellness Clinic. And I just knew if she practices this, she must have come through something herself. So I asked her about it. I didn't know either one of these two women before. I cold called them, and they were willing to talk to me. And they had these extraordinary stories as well.
When you look at this, do you see a generational difference? These women, obviously from a previous generation, working hard to help others and also to make sure that people like yourself, Roselyn, don't have to go through similar experiences in that next generation.
In terms of the broad scope, I see women of color working to serve others and build community. I don't know if I would call it a generational thing, though, because my generation hasn't really grown up in that way yet. I mean, we're still in progress. And part of why I made the doc is to guide the women of my generation to do the same, because we have a lot of trauma to deal with as well. Even with what's going on in the world right now, there's just trauma in the air, apart from the traumas we deal with in our individual lives. So part of why I made the doc is to show, look what these women came through. We will be okay, and here's how.
Roselyn, thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today. It's going to be a great screening, I can tell, and a great panel after, a Q&A panel with your energy. Thanks for joining us today. March 12th, 2 o'clock at the First Ontario Performing Arts Centre. Visit their website for tickets.